Hello and welcome to my cozy nest. Today I will show you how you can transform a simple metal pitcher. First, let's remove the label. Then I apply white chalk paint because I love chalk paint and it sticks to even problematic surfaces, such as metal or glass. I am applying paint with a brush, but I would suggest you apply it with a sponge because a sponge makes a more uniform texture. My second coat was with a sponge. Now that the pitcher is white, it is time for napkins. I take out my 3-ply napkin and discard the 2 white plies. I usually cut out the designs, but here I will leave a lot of white showing and I do not want the edges to be visible. If you layer smaller designs one on top of the other, the edges would disappear. But if you have one layer and then a lot of white background, then the cut edges would be very visible. So I use a combination of tearing the napkin where the white is showing and cutting around the blossoms. Now that I am happy with the edges, I lay down my design and lift it at the bottom. I then apply glue on the exposed chalk paint while making sure I do not move the napkin. Then I lay down the napkin and then I finally figured out the camera angle was horrible and I moved it. Now it's a little less terrible. After tapping the napkin, I take some PVC wrapping and now I can really smooth out the wrinkles. Because I did not use a lot of glue, it was safe to fold over the napkin and I didn't have to worry it would stick on the already glued part. Look at that camera angle! Live and learn! Let's finish this first design. I will fix this later. Right now, I want to prevent it from drying into a lump. Before I move on to the next design, I go around the edges and make sure they are all glued down. If they are still flapping about, I apply a little glue under the edge and brush down the napkin. Can you see the edges disappearing? So let's talk about connecting the designs. The first design is simple, right? You place it anywhere you want to, but the next one has to make sense. So I tore and cut out the next design, and it had the same leaf and stem on the left. I could layer the second leaf over the first one, but then it would be darker. The first one is on a white background, and the second one would be on a green background. I will come back to this leaf. I need to figure out how the design will wrap around the handle. I tore off some more white background. The smaller the design, the easier it is to bend it. So I cut out the leaf on the second design so that it will slide into the leaf from the first design. I make some cuts to get the napkin flat around the handle. Finally ready to glue this one on. Can you see this little hole? Guess what's going to happen? Oh well, another mistake to fix later. The second design is done. Let me show you how you can tweak the design to make it work for you. I want to add this large blossom, and it is really hard to work with small pieces of napkin, like this stem. So I'm tearing the white around it and trying to avoid cutting out all the white around the stem. But if I left this as it was, the white background would change the color of the red petals of the first design. So I trimmed the stem as best as I could. When I was gluing on the stem, I accidentally brushed glue on the previous design, and this made the napkin bubble. This is why I sometimes use a top coat instead of glue. I find it seals the napkin better, and future liquids that I apply do not make the napkin bubble. I did try my best to smooth out the bubble with the brush. Here I will need to make some cuts so that the napkin will bend around the curve. It's best to make these cuts before the napkin is glued down. Time to sand off the edges. I use a fine sanding pad and sand in a vertical manner away from the edge. Let's fix those mistakes. I look for the best match among my leftover napkins and I cut out a small piece. I then apply my top coat, Polyvine Decorator's Varnish, and place the napkin on the design. Once this is dry, it will be difficult to spot the repair. Then I apply a top coat all over the picture, making sure to apply it even. I never use the top coat spray. I dislike the smell and the fact that you need to go outside to spray it. Now for the accent. I usually turn to vintage paint metallic gold or bronze or silver, but this time I had a brilliant idea to use gold leaf. I worked with gold leaf before and everything was okay, but this time I messed up. I applied the gold leaf glue. When it felt tacky, I placed the gold leaf on. Now, the gold leaf is easier to place if you are working with smaller pieces, so cut it before you take it off the paper. Everything looked good at first. But then when I was brushing off the excess, the gold leaf started to come off. So I turned off the camera and started scraping off the gold leaf. But then I was left with these beautiful specks of sparkling gold that looked kind of good. So I decided to do the same on the handle. I applied a bit of glue on some spots and put the leftover gold leaf on them. After I brushed off the excess, I applied another coat of Decorator's Varnish to protect the little speck. And this is the finished picture. Please let me know if you like this design. I am very interested in what you have to say about my gold mistake. Please like, subscribe and comment. It really helps to get this video seen.